In this video I wanted to talk about the main lie that I see kind of forced upon me in every dimension of this dimension, every single day. And this lie is so prevalent and so vehemently forced upon me that it bears acknowledging and addressing. And this lie is basically this. This lie is that all of these crimes, these things that have been forced upon me, forcing me in this human body, torturing, tormenting, perverting justice against me, enslavement, imprisonment, all of these terrible things, cutting out all of existence everywhere and forcing me through some child molesting little coward's forcible thing that he's forcing upon me. This lie is basically saying that none of these obviously existential crimes, and crimes of creation too, none of these crimes have any consequences. And there's a constant, just a constant attempt to demoralize me all the time. And you can see it in every aspect of this. You can see it in every single government in the world is crooked. Can't go to any of them to get justice. Every single legal system in the world is crooked. Can't go to them to get justice. Even when you have proof that these legal systems, that these governments are crooked, when you have absolute, irrefutable proof that they've committed terrible federal felonies, and I do have proof of that, of the United States government, the city of Fargo, the state of Idaho, these groups have committed terrible crimes against me, and it's always been this attempt to force upon me, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing. And it goes beyond me. It goes into every aspect of society. For example, if you look at the United States, they constantly, I don't know if they're still doing it because I haven't been to the United States for a while, but constantly they talk about, they put on the news these situations where police officers will murder unarmed teenage kids. And instead of doing anything about it, they just rub it in your face. And they talk about, oh, they're going to get away with it, and they pull some crooked stuff, and their crooked judge buddy gets, waives the debt for them and everything. I mentioned before the women's pay gap, how women are supposed to make 70 cents on the dollar compared to a man. But again, they get these statistics from somewhere, which means they know who's paying that money to whom and how much. And so if you have these statistics, then you have the ability to carry out justice. But instead what they've done is just rub it in people's faces for 40 years. It's this constant attempt to try to get someone to accept existential crime. And it's not like it's a teacher. It's not like somebody trying to teach a lesson or carry out justice or anything like that. And so if you think about why somebody would do that, if you think why somebody would go to all these lengths, set up an entire dimension where everything is crooked and nobody will ever do anything to help you, and you have all this corruption and crooked bullshit around you, and all these people screwing everybody over, and nobody that you can go to get any help or to get any justice, even when you have proof. The reason for that is this. It appears to me. I know these are existential crimes. And I know that they have consequences that are worse than anything there could be. When you pay existential consequences, you will no longer exist after, if you are lucky. That is not my opinion. That's not a matter of perspective. That's not faith. It's not wishful thinking. That is the most simple and fundamental thing in existence. That's what it is. If you commit crimes of existence and creation like this, so sociopathically, so terribly, and you use intelligence and autonomy and ability to do that, you will never walk away from these consequences. And that intelligence and ability that you use to commit these crimes, that the person who created this dimension uses to commit these crimes, that should preclude you from committing them. The fact that you have intelligence and you're committing these crimes, you had to convince yourself, the person committing these crimes. Again, I don't want to shift from speaking to the person, to any innocents out there who might actually be watching this video. Again, I have mentioned before, I doubt that that's the case. I don't want to make it look like I'm saying bad things or that I'm condemning innocent people. But I am saying that I am surrounded by humans in every place where I go that appear to be the creations of the person committing these crimes. And none of them are carrying out justice. All of them are supporting crooked governments. Nobody's carrying out justice anywhere. And so that leads me to believe that there is not going to be any innocent who sees this video or any other video, but I do know that greater entities will. And if these crimes that have been committed against me are simulated as if there are 8 billion monkeys running around who all have enough intelligence to carry out justice, and yet none of them are doing it, then even if it's one puppeteer behind that, he owes me for 8 billion monkeys that I have now provided information to on YouTube. Now he wants to play let's pretend. There's no consequences for it. This is the lie again. This is the lie that is perpetuated in every single dimension of this dimension. If somebody's saying, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, trying to demoralize me, trying to make me feel despair, make me feel fear, trying to terrorize me, simply for pointing out the fact that these are sick, twisted crimes of existence and creation, and they have consequences of existence and creation that are worse. And so why would somebody just in every dimension of this dimension just say, nuh-uh, 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 over and over and over again, using little puppets and shitbags and coward, everything? It's because that entity has intelligence. And he has been convinced that he can just demoralize me, and somehow, if he convinces me to accept these existential crimes, then that means that greater entities everywhere will never carry out consequences against him. That they'll never carry out consequences against his creator. That they'll never carry out consequences against his creator's actual children he wants to exist, that aren't just patsies he's using to commit crimes with. He has intelligence, so he knows that there are consequences for such terrible crimes. And yet he wants to convince everybody, especially me, that there's no consequences for it. He is that cowardly. He is that ridiculous. He is that absurd. I wanted to address this. I wanted to address this very, very directly. That this lie is in every single aspect of this dimension surrounding my consciousness. That somebody is like a shitty child, hiding like a coward in his basement, ripping wings off of flies where nobody can see him because he's a nasty little chicken shit asshole, is saying, nuh-uh, 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 over and over and over again. Just wants to play make-believe that there's never consequences. And the truth is this. The truth is that such a lowly pissant of a coward that would commit crimes of existence and creation like this is not the pinnacle of existence. What he's doing is not so clever and tricky, invincible, that he would never face consequences and that nobody anywhere would ever know what he's doing. And he's make-believing that that's the case. He's pretending. He's committing crimes of existence and creation in such a way that any adult would existentially torture him straight to his face for doing that. He's a patsy. He was created to be existentially tortured for committing these crimes. And because he has intelligence, he's trying to convince himself that there's never going to be consequences. Here's another thing he's trying to convince himself of, that there's not consequences right now. I know that greater entities exist. I know that everyone who created such a cowardly, absurd little asshole that would commit crimes like such a piece of shit, such a coward, hiding behind puppets that are cowards who hide themselves. I know that that is a lowly entity that does not have the right to exist. And I know that there are many entities, in fact, every single one that has the right to exist, just about. All greater entities can see what he's doing. And in those places where justice is taking place, they're not waiting for some little child molester to try to convince me that there shouldn't be consequences, because it would be really expensive if they had to actually pay what they owe for rape and torture and everything else. They're carrying out those consequences in real time, and that's not faith. It's not dogma. That is a statement of fact. In those places where justice is taking place, they are carrying out consequences for these horrible, terrible, sociopathic crimes. And those consequences are nothing less than existential torture, worse than the child molester who created this dimension can even imagine. And they're doing it against other people's creations. Guess what happens when you do that to other people's creations because of crimes that that piece of shit is responsible for every moment of every day? Well, his lineage of creation wants wrath. So do people that aren't even related to you. All those entities that you've created these existential consequences for, they exist. And some of them are within arm's reach of somebody who has the right to exist. And they are carrying out existential torture against actual creations of actual primary entities. The greatest, the highest, the most powerful anythings anywhere. They are carrying out consequences against them in real time. And they are existentially torturing those basically children, while the creator of this dimension hides behind what he presents as children to fuck innocent people over worse. You're causing those consequences for other people's creations, and you're hiding behind children while you do it. And the whole time you're saying, "Nuh-uh, no one will do anything, nuh-uh, nuh-uh." And you're make-believing that you're a greater entity that will not be existentially raped and tortured by literally everything with the right to exist as soon as they get their hands on you. I have now very succinctly, very clearly addressed this fact for you. Every moment that you force this injustice upon me, every moment the United States government doesn't pay me for the horrible crimes they've committed against me, every moment the city of Fargo, the state of North Dakota, the state of Idaho, the city of Idaho Falls, all of these different organizations with all these monkeys that all just play make-believe. They'll point fingers at everyone else and then run me in circles, and eventually it'll just go away. It doesn't. They're existentially torturing people right now because of the crimes that you're committing and because of the justice that you're perverting, and the justice that they have to pay and that you will eventually have to pay is multiplied by all of your perversions of justice you force upon me. Every second that passes that I do not have actual justice in every form, in every dimension, all of the crimes that you and your whole lineages of existence and creation have ever committed will have to be torturously paid for at a worse rate. Justice will have to be perverted against you in order for you to be able to afford it, in order for it to be fair. And all of you with no right to exist that are being used to commit these crimes, it was over for you before it even started. And your Creator is the one who did that, and you're doing your very best to help Him. So I've addressed this again. I've addressed this very important issue that this whole dimension is trying to impress upon me this ridiculous notion that nobody anywhere carries out justice. And the truth is, you have a finite period of time. And when existential justice takes place, every single one of those notions, every single one of those insinuations will not go away. They will not be ignored. They won't. So I demand that you pay me now. That you carry out justice in full. That you do it exactly, perfectly, correctly. That you make no mistakes. Because in those places where justice is taking place, nobody thinks that you're clever. Nobody thinks you're nasty, childish, little child molesters, or anything but someone who should be tortured eternally along with everyone, everywhere, responsible for their existences and their creations. You hide behind children while you cause the rape and torture of other people's actual children. And me telling you that that is an obvious cause and effect isn't me being wrong. But you make believing there's no consequences for it. That's you being wrong. So again, carry out justice in full, everywhere, perfectly, completely, and right now.